Hello, this is a final presentation from me. My name's Brian. Um, this is for intro to literature. My professor Courtney and I are born. Um, I'm a student at Red Rock. So we are talking about literature in today's presentation. Um, First off, my definition of literature is media like novel or poem anthology that use the written word to convey its message. A great example of literature is The Great Gatsby and the critique of the American dream and its theme of vanity. An example of a book that is not literature is a textbook. It just tells you things, it teaches you things, but it doesn't spread a theme like resilience or have characters for that take part in the story. What do I think is the importance or power of literature, and why is it a part of every education? The power of literature is that it allows us to record, present, and spread information relatively accurately and easily. It also allows us to consider other points of view and explore cultures. It also makes learning a language easier since it's another medium to consume words, story, in that language. It's a part of every education because when you're able to read and consider other points of view, you become a much more well-rounded person. So let's talk about the power each of the major types of literature have. Poetry is best at recording and expressing emotions and themes. Like, for example, Tupac in his poetry talks about the struggle of love and heartbreak, those kinds of things. Drama is best at allowing people to explore, process, and express emotions from a safe distance. It's almost like a cathartic release of anger, sadness, or whatever. Things like Romeo and Juliet allow somebody to experience heartbreak, to think about what heartbreak would be like without having to actually go through it, and maybe they're better prepared for when it does happen. Fiction is best at several things. For one, it relieves boredom through exploring things like fantasy worlds and past historical events. It also allows us to explore other cultures, like when Americans read Japanese historical fiction, you're seeing Japanese culture at work in those literature. I don't have an example for that, but yeah. Non-fiction is best at recording facts and stories of events, like World War II, for educating the future or educating its readers. This is a great example of non-fiction, and it talks about like spies in World War II. Okay, what role does literature play in society? Literature plays a large role in society. It acts as a society's collective consciousness and vehicle of expression. It allows the society to remember things by recording them, stuff like that. It does this by allowing for work to be read by large numbers of people and for lots of work to be published by large amounts of people. This is important because it aids in human development and understanding each other better. So, an element of literature that is important in society is entertainment. Literature helps us with entertaining us by allowing us to go to different worlds and maintaining a healthy state of mind by exercising the brain. A great example of this is Harry Potter and Alice in Wonderland. Because when you read those stories, you're transported into a world that has things that you probably will never see in real life, like a flying car or, a chamber of secrets. It allows you to exercise your mind, that kind of thing, and just be entertained. Escapism. Literature helps us in this way by taking us out of a challenging time in life and allowing for relief from a challenging time. It does this by making the reader focus on what is going on in the story, not in real life. Why did it do this? Focusing on a different reality that occurs in a story that we enjoy lowers stress and gives us a dopamine rush, the happy chemical. And it reduces the stress chemical, cortisol. That's kind of what it does. Another great example of escapism would be The Lord of the Rings, for that matter. You could argue the Divine Commentary, the Divine Comedy is escapism, because it allows you to explore heaven, hell, and purgatory, and just kind of see what that's like. Societal commentary. Literature plays a role in societal commentary by allowing writers to express their thoughts on issues like immigration and slavery or war. It helps writers express their views on events by allowing others to gain access to their thoughts via their writing. It helps spread social commentary because a reader, by gaining a new perspective via the writing, may be inspired to take action that is based on those views. Things like Uncle Tom's Cabin, which is a novel that expresses exposes the horrors of slavery, helped move the abolition movement in the North, and led to the ending of slavery. A poem like The Divine Commentary was Dante's way of commentating on his political leaders in his home city of Florence by showing them in hell. Again, Tupac poems like The Rose That Grew from Concrete is about resilience and dealing with racism. It's that kind of thing. Revolution. Literature plays a role in revolution by spreading ideas and calling for change based on those ideas. It helps spread a revolution by forming the basis for a group's ideology and plan for change. A great example of this is the Communist Manifesto and Jack's Capital, The Capital by Karl Marx, forming the basis of communism and communist ideology of the Communist Party that goes on to found the Soviet Union. Why did it do this? By having arguments make up a key factor in literature, it allows for the formation of ideology based on those arguments. Another great example of literature helping spread revolution would be Thomas Paine's Common Sense. So that was a essay that was handed out in 1770s America, and what it does is it helps convince the American public to go in favor of independence and not just have the Continental Congress and the militia be fighting for independence. It just helps it spread that way. Oliver Twist is another great example of literature playing a role in revolutionizing workers' rights. It says, hey, these workers are mistreated. There needs to be a change. So it kind of formed the basis for that ideology. What role does literature play in my life? Literature helped me deal with death by allowing for escapism. It allows me to better learn languages by gaining exposure to the language. I would say it is pretty important to me because it does kind of all the things I previously mentioned. What do I read and why? I read novels and graphic novels because novels allow one person to sit and explore a theme, an idea, or connect with a character due to their length. And graphic novels also do the same thing. Also, they're just really cool. I use literature to help me learn languages. Because by reading a language, you gain more exposure to it. You see words in different contexts. I use literature to study different cultures by reading things like Japanese ghost stories. I also read to learn. Like, yeah, I already mentioned that. But what types of literature do I identify with? Again, I really identify with the novel because I like to explore things in depth and connect with characters. I also identify with poems because poems are really great ways of expressing emotion and things. And I think it's important to be able to express your emotion because that is an important thing of having good mental health and all that kind of stuff. So none of this has really changed after taking a literature class. In fact, it's really been strengthened because of exposure to the different types of literature. And that's it. Have a good fall semester and